Okay, we ready?
Yep, and remember, it's football, not soccer. It's a pitch, not a field, and it's nil, not zero.
Okay. I'm never going to get all this straight. Hello and welcome. Today is the first day of the World Cup. This is a little primer for Americans. This is a safe space if you don't know much about soccer, because I don't. So I looked up a few things so that we could go in having at least somewhat of a clue about what's going on. But before we start, I want to tell you just a couple of things. One is it's called football, not soccer. The field, the soccer field is called a pitch. And this was confusing for me because to me, a pitch involves a wind-up and a mound. For a while, I thought the pitch was the kickoff. And I don't even know what they call the kickoff in football. I want to say in world football, could they call it American football? It's hard not to say soccer. Also, if they say 1-0, nil means zero. They don't say zero, they say nil. And also, when they score, they call it a goal.
As opposed to what?
A touchdown or a run? Don't you give me a card for that. Okay, here are 5 things you should know about the World Cup. Number 1 is its significance. The World Cup is not only the biggest soccer event in the world, it's actually the biggest sporting event in the world. It is even bigger than the Olympics. Like the Olympics, it happens about every 4 years, and last time it was played, it was watched by over 1 billion people. There are about 200 teams worldwide that compete to try to be in the World Cup. Of those, 32 are decided that they can play in the World Cup, and these 32 teams are spread throughout the world. The host country, which this year is Russia, automatically gets to play in the World Cup. The second thing to know is how the clock works. We're used to the clock counting down in almost every sport. In soccer, they count up. The clock starts at 0 and they count up. It goes for 90 minutes. They have some sort of break. I don't know if they call it halftime. There's a break after 45 minutes, and then the next 45 minutes starts. When the next 45 minutes starts, the clock starts going up again. And the game does not necessarily end right at the end of the 45 minutes. The game ends when the referee blows the whistle, which doesn't have to be right at 45 minutes. There's discretion for the referee in case that there were things that occurred during the game. Unlike most of the games we're used to, the clock stops if somebody is injured or, I don't know, they're talking about things, or we even have timeouts. That doesn't happen in soccer, in football. Okay, take that card back. I fixed it. Take it back. If the ref feels like there should be a little extra time added to the game, then it's just added to the game, and the game stops when the whistle blows. Usually we're only talking a minute or two, but it has gone up to as much as 30 minutes more if there were significant events that occurred during the game. Number 3, penalties. There are what are called yellow cards and red cards in soccer. If you do something that is against the rules but not particularly egregious, you foul a player but you didn't hurt the player and it wasn't intentional, then you get a yellow card. And it's physically a yellow card that you don't even get to keep. I mean, it's not even like you get to keep this badge of honor, but there is this yellow card. But if you do have ill will, if you really hurt somebody, if you went over the top, then you get a red card. A red card means that you are ejected from the game. And not only are you ejected from that game, you're ejected from the next game that your team plays. Furthermore, if you get 2 yellow cards in the same game, that's the equivalent of a red card, and you are ejected from that game and the next game. So you can see how getting one of these, especially the red card, can seriously affect the tournament, because your player, could be your best player, is out potentially for 2 games. That could be a really big deal. The 4th thing you should know about the World Cup is the group stage. As I mentioned, there are 32 teams that start in this tournament. And FIFA, which is the World Soccer Organization or some such thing, they govern football throughout the world. They have rated the teams and ranked the teams. They've also made sure that the teams are coming from all different parts of the world. So they've done that. They divide these 32 teams into 8 groups of 4. And they've seeded the teams so that you don't have all of the highest ranked teams in one. They've evenly distributed it, so that people don't get eliminated who shouldn't be eliminated right away. When you're in a pack of 4, you are going to play everybody else in that group If you win a game, you get 3 points. If you tie, you get 1 point. And if you lose, you get 0 points. And so at the end of that, there will be 2 teams that move forward. If there's a tie and they have to figure out who the top teams are, you can tell they've done this before. Because when you look at the rules, there's this long, drawn-out thing of how they decide. It has to do with how many goals you got versus them, or I don't know. There's this, believe me, they're going to sort it out. Once you're finished with this phase of the tournament and you move forward to the next phase, then you're going to be left with 16 teams. And when you move forward, then it's sudden death, like what we're used to. Number 4. Why isn't the USA in the World Cup? As I mentioned before, they divide the world into groups or region, and our region is called, how do you say CONCACAF?
CONCACAF.
It is too long. CONCACAF? It's a long acronym. I don't know how they say it. Basically, what our region is North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Unlike professional sports that we may be used to, we don't get to buy the best players. For example, I was at Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals where we won Stanley's Cup. Don't know who the Stanley is, but we won the cup, and it was really exciting, and it was a bunch of Southerners, and we were there rooting for our hockey team, but we knew that who we were really rooting for on our team, those are a bunch of Yankees, Canadians, Swedes, and Russians. I mean, we're under no illusions about that. In the World Cup, our soccer team actually has to be our football team, but not our American football team. The guys that we say are playing soccer actually have to be from here. And the sad news is, with 350 million to choose from in our pool, we didn't do well enough to get into this tournament. Trinidad beat us. To be clear about that, Trinidad is a country about the size of San Diego, and they beat us, and they are in the World Cup, and we are not. That wasn't the only factor. In the 4 years leading up to the World Cup, during the tournaments to get into the World Cup, there were some various upsets that caused us to be out of it altogether. I want to be clear that we're talking about the Men's World Cup here. The Women's World Cup is played separately, and our women have won this whole shebang before. They are awesome, they draw bigger crowds, and they are actually paid less money than the men, which is a whole other topic. But we're talking about the men here, and we are not in the World Cup. Interesting, though, it was just announced that we are going to host the 2026 World Cup. And remember that the team that's hosting does automatically get to play. What's interesting is it's not just us hosting the 2026 World Cup. We are hosting with Canada and Mexico. So, there's some question as to whether all 3 will get to go in or just one. The only other time there was a co-host, it was Japan and South Korea, and both of them were able to play. Both of them got in automatically. So I'm assuming that the 3 of us get in automatically. I'm also assuming that by 2026, Mexico and Canada like us better than they do right now. You may notice that Americans have had some bad behavior regarding the Canadians and the Mexicans, and we're right in the middle of those 2 countries, and we're going to be hosting together, which could be awkward. Well, those are the basics. That'll get you started, hopefully, with watching the World Cup. I hope that you do watch the World Cup. As an American, I'm not able to root for my home team, so I'll have to decide who I'm going to root for. I would love to know who you are going to be rooting for in the World Cup. Leave your comments below. Bye for now. How'd I do?
You got 8 yellow cards, 4 red ones, and 4 ejections.
So I won.
Sure, you won.
Okay.